What's going on, y'all? This is Drew, and in this video I'll be doing a quick tutorial showing you how to record a vocal into your iPad, import that vocal over to Beatmaker 3, chop it up, and use it for a dope beat. A few days ago I posted on my Instagram account how to make a Meek Mill Expensive Pain type beat. In that video I chopped up a sample using MSX Audio's iOS software called Chompler. Super dope. I chopped that sample up, and then I went over into my voice memos. I did a little ha hoo he hoo ha hoo. I laid down a crazy vocal. That's not Stevie, that's not Prince, that's your boy, that's yours truly. So yeah, I threw a vocal into voice memos, then I imported that vocal over to Beatmaker 3. I chopped up that vocal inside of Beatmaker and I threw it on some pads. And I used it to make a Meek Mill Expensive Pain type beat. I got a lot of good feedback about the video, so I just want to show y'all how I did that and how I made that happen. Alright, here we go. Lock in. So first things first. The first thing I did was I went to my voice memos. As you can see my screen here. So I have expensive vocal. It really wasn't an expensive vocal. It's kind of ironic that I called it expensive vocal because it is just my vocal that I recorded here on the iPad. So this is the only recording. I took everything out, keep everything streamlined, keep everything looking clean for the purposes of this video. And then what I did was obviously I sung that part. Alright, I don't know what I'm saying there, but it wasn't really about what I was saying. What I really wanted was just the texture of a vocal, and I knew I was going to drown it out, flood it in reverb, put some delay on there, maybe even a lo-fi distortion, some saturation, something like that. So it didn't really matter what I was saying. It's not important. It's more of an effect and more of a texture than anything else. So after I recorded that vocal into voice memos, I slid on over to Beatmaker 3 and I open that up. And for any of you first time Beatmaker 3 users, when you open up Beatmaker 3 for the very first time, you'll see this like a welcome page, a welcome to Beatmaker 3 page, and you'll have the option to open a new session, open an old session, do a quick start guide, or visit the sound store, or you can recommend it to a friend. All right, so let's just get right into it. I don't want to waste a lot of time. Let's just hit new session straight off the rip. All right, boom. When you open it up for the first time, if you're used to production software, if you're used to looking at apps or MPCs or any other drum sequencer, this looks pretty similar to those. You have some pads over here on the right hand side. You have your sound banks on the left hand side. But if you notice all the way over on the left hand side of the screen, underneath the 16 pads, we have a squiggly waveform looking line. We want to click that because that's going to take you into the sampler page. Now that we're in the sampler page, everything looks pretty standard. There's a magnifying glass around the middle of your screen, but underneath that magnifying glass it says press to browse samples and drag and drop here. So we're going to press that. Right. Now that we have that, you see that on the left hand side it brought up some samples. We can scroll through those samples. But when you import sounds from voice memos into Beatmaker 3 for the first time, you'll see that you have to open up the imports folder in order to access that file. To access that imports folder, you want to go to the folder icon at the top left hand corner of the screen. Boom. Halfway down the middle of the screen it says imports. Press that. Scroll down to whatever you named your file. We called it expensivevocal.m4a. All right. Now, as you can see, the other files in this window are WAV files. Beatmaker 3 only works with WAV files, so you're going to have to convert that to a WAV file by pressing these three dots. Convert expensive vocal to WAV. Yes. Happens super quick. All right. So now that we have that sample, oops, let me go back to the sample window. We have that sample loaded up. It's converted to a WAV. The bottom left hand corner, you can say load sample. And just to verify that it is on keys, we're going to go to the bottom left hand corner, the keyboard icon, and we're going to press middle C. All right, that's all there. We're all good. Now we can go back to our sampler window. And now we can start chopping up our sample. So now we're back at the sampler window. Again, it's the squiggly line on the left hand side. We're in our sampler window, and on the right hand side of the screen, the opposite side of the screen, we see an icon that says slice mode. We're gonna put it in slice mode. Now, if you're familiar with like the MPC Chop Shop or Ableton Push's sample and chopping samples section, it's all pretty similar. They all have an automatic chop feature, automatic slice feature, whatever you want to call it. And then basically what I did was I went to auto slice and I went down to detect, and I took the detection down to 12%. So we go down to 12. So now my detection is at 12%. And if I go back to the internal keyboard within Beatmaker 3's software, I can play those samples on these pads directly on the iPad. Now, if you're like me, I like having real keys under my fingers. I carry the MPK in my backpack along with my iPad everywhere I go. So I like to actually play it on the MPK Mini as well. Cool. So now I can confirm that my chops are done. I have the vocal in there. I did all my slices. So they are sliced exactly to the keys how I like it. And now I can start affecting it and bringing in some effects, bringing in some reverb. I'll bring in some stereo delay. I'll bring in some lo-fi saturation, get it sounding a little crispy, a little vinyl saturation on there. And that's everything I did to get the vocal sounding the way I did on my How to Make a Meek Mill type beat on my Instagram profile. So now let's start adding some effects. The lower left hand corner, there's an icon that says audio effects. You click that icon, you go to add audio effect, and the first effect that I'm going to add is some reverb. I'm going to back out, go to the keys. So now you hear the reverb. The effective vocal is in my sampler. I feel good about it. I like the sound of that reverb. And the next thing that I added was some stereo delay. So let's go back to our audio effects, lower left hand corner. Boom. Add another effect. Scroll down to stereo delay. Got some stereo delay. I'll save the preset. Go back to my keyboard. Alright, and the last thing I did was I added some lo-fi saturation. That was also done courtesy of MSX Audio Lo-Fi Dirt app. So I went here, loaded that in, show plugin. Like crisp, you hear that crisp? It's like you're frying bacon. When you fry bacon, you smell that, you know it's gonna be right. It's gonna be right. However, I don't like that. That's a little too much for my liking. So I think this was the sound that I chose, like an electronic warm. And I can also play it here. And those are all the effects. Those are all the effects that I added. Added some verb, added some stereo delay, added some saturation, and that's everything that it took for me to get my vocal sounding the way it did in my video on how to make a Meek Mill expensive pain type beat. All done on my iPad with the MPK Mini if you choose. You don't have to, but it is an option if you do choose to chop and play that way. And that's pretty much it. That's everything that I did to get the vocal sounding the way that I did. And hopefully, if you're a producer, you can just add this to your arsenal. Like you don't always have the luxury of being in the studio with monitors and keyboards and sequencers. You can do that right here. Everything that I did right here on my iPad. It's really simple. Hopefully this video taught you something. If you see that I'm doing something and it's not necessarily the best way to do it, please feel free to leave a comment. But in the meantime, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, do all those things, because we got more videos coming to y'all very soon, sooner rather than later. Hopefully if you're a producer and you saw what I did here in this video, you can take it, you can add it, you can modify it, you can do things differently. That's it for now. Make sure you make beats, pray, love. Do all three of those things. Until next time, until my next video, I hope y'all doing well. Be blessed. Peace.